one point you were the Ebola czar. So you know a lot about these diseases that are out there. What do you think about the way the Trump administration is now handling the coronavirus scare, which is clearly enormous right now?
So, look, I think it was a mistake for the president to say, we've got it all under control. We don't really know what we're dealing with yet. And I think there's four things the Trump administration needs to do very quickly. They need to put someone at the White House in charge of this. Someone needs to work on the all-of-government response. They need to go to Congress right now and get money to ramp up vaccine development and other work. They need to fund the series of hospitals we have in our country that can isolate and treat these diseases. The funding runs out in May. They need to extend that funding. And most of all, the president needs to put down the Twitter, listen to his science and medical advisors. We have the best people in the world in our government. Great scientists, great medical leaders like Tony Fauci, Dr. Shuchat at CDC. He needs to stop tweeting. He needs to listen to them and let them run this response.
Are you doing it?
We'll see. We'll see. Too soon to say.
How worried are you?
I'm concerned. I'm not. No one should be panicked. No one should be worried. We have the best medical system in the world here in the United States, but we have a couple cases here already. We're going to see more, and this is going to spread. We're just at the beginning of it. There's a lot we don't know yet. So I think we need to let the experts run the response, and we need to be very, very concerned.
Ron Klain, thanks very much for coming in. You can leave. Gloria, you can't. You're going to be here for a while. Up next, the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, who pushed
spread. There are now about 1,400 cases worldwide, most of them in mainland China, 38 cases elsewhere. Nearly 60 million people near the center of the outbreak in Wuhan are under lockdown, with travel restrictions in place for 15 cities. Hospitals in Wuhan are overflowing with patients, prompting officials to quickly build 2 additional hospitals. Well, Chinese authorities believe a seafood market in Wuhan is the source of the deadly coronavirus. CNN has obtained video filmed inside that market, but we need to disturb you. It is disturbing. The film came to us via a concerned customer. It was filmed back in December. It shows live wild animals for sale, including snakes, porcupines, even beavers. Some of the people who got sick were employees there. The video was posted on Chinese social media, but it's been deleted. The market has declined CNN's request for comment. Well, the death toll has jumped in just a matter of days. CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta calls the rapid spread of the virus concerning.
From those markets, animals to humans, that is how most new viruses enter the human population, coming from animals. Then it started spreading humans to humans. And then we now know it spreads 4th generation humans, which is exactly what it sounds like. First human spreads to a few, those humans spread to more, and so forth. So that transmissibility, we kind of anticipated. We've seen this sort of thing before. But I want to show you this quick box to give you an idea of exactly what public health officials focus on. 2 things. It's that transmissibility on the x-axis, and it's the lethality, or just how deadly this is, on the y-axis. So the transmissibility, we know it's probably in that B category, right? It's high. But we don't know how lethal this is. We hear about many of these patients who are being tested, who've come back as confirmed carrying the virus, but aren't that sick. What public health officials don't want is this to mutate into that D box, where it is both spreading quickly and is very lethal. Right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. Obviously, again, that doesn't, obviously mitigate the panic and concern, but the idea that there may be a lot of people that have this, not that many people are getting very sick or dying.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta there. Well, at least 22 people have been killed after a powerful earthquake struck eastern Turkey. More than 1,000 people were injured after the 6.7 magnitude quake hit Friday night. The search continuing for people trapped in the buildings of collapsed rubble. Well, the Pentagon says 34 U.S. service members were diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries. Those injuries from the Iranian missile attack at a base in Iraq which housed U.S. troops. Initially, U.S. officials said no one was hurt. CNN Pentagon reporter Ryan Brown tells us why it took so long to find out about those injuries.
When the reports first emerged that at least 11 service members had been injured, President Trump in Davos appeared to downplay it a little bit, saying that they had headaches and that he did not consider these injuries as serious as a loss of a limb or that type of military casualty. But again, he's been criticized by several veterans groups, including Veterans of Foreign Wars, who have criticized him downplaying these injuries. Of course, traumatic brain injury is something that the military has become increasingly cognizant of. It's again, you don't necessarily see the effects immediately, but over the last 18 years, troops have been in explosions, and that these symptoms have developed that have really long-term effects that can really affect a service member's health.
Around there, I'm Linda Kincaid. That is your CNN News Now. Special coverage of the impeachment trial of President Trump continues.
Just a short time from now, the president's lawyers will make their case against his removal. One lawyer won't be there, is Rudy Giuliani. He said 24 hours ago he was still on television throwing out more conspiracy theories. Michael Smerconish, CNN political commentator and host of CNN Smerconish, is here. Michael, how do lawyers handle Giuliani today? Do they even mention him?
If you and I were playing a drinking game while we were watching this and Rudy's name were a trigger, I think we'd be both stone cold sober at the end of the hearing. I think he'll be a non-factor, according to his lawyers.
Because he's just, he's toxic. Because it doesn't seem to me there's much explanation for why Giuliani, if this was U.S. foreign policy, would be out there on the pointy end of the spear on this.
Well, Anderson, if it were advantageous to have him in the mix, he'd be arguing the case. I mean, the guy has litigation chops, or at least he did as a former U.S. attorney. The fact that he's not even involved in this process, I think, is significant.
Jay Sekulow, president's attorney, says that the Democrats opened the door to talk about the Bidens. I'm not sure they really needed the door to be open for them, but how much do you expect the Bidens to be a focus today and in the coming days?
Well, we keep referring to this as a trial, and I guess there's no alternative, but think about it. There really are no rules of precedent. We don't have rules of evidence. We don't even have a burden of proof that is a standard. So the door was always open. In other words, think about the last couple of days. In not a single incident did you see someone stand up and say, "I object, Your Honor." It's all coming in. It's all fair game. As a trial lawyer, as I look at that which has been introduced thus far, I think probably half of it would never meet the evidentiary standard. So for Sekulow to say the door is open, I think that's a device for him to act as if he were introduced. The real challenge that I see for Sekulow today is determining his audience. I've been in a position, Anderson, where I've represented clients who both want to win, but they want vengeance. They are angry. And I've had to explain to them that it's not in their best interest that I bring the fire and brimstone that they desire. In other words, what I'm suggesting is that Sekulow today has to decide if he's playing for the president, an audience of one, or is he playing for the court of public opinion? Because to play for the president isn't necessarily in the president's best interest.
Although certainly, he's more than likely watching.
Well, you talk about an oxymoron. That's a hurdle to go over right there now, isn't it?
And we'll see what he chooses to do. I just want to say on the right-hand side of your screen, we're expecting to see House managers bringing some 28,000 trial documents over to the Senate. Whether it's a formality at this point, but that is going to happen.
It's a circus. That's what it is. It's a darn circus. And at any given moment, we're waiting for the two-headed calf and the bearded lady to come out. It's a freak show. Because it's not handled in proper court proceedings, practices, ways. This is more of a spectator show. The way that they're bringing all this evidence out and talking about this and talking about that. It's sad. That's what it is. It's sad that our laws has come together, regardless whether it's criminal law or political law, our laws have clashed, having a, call it a constitutional crisis, a political crisis, a open trial public opinion crisis, call it whatever, but it's not cut and dry like most courts are, just like the guy just got through talking about. But the seriousness of this film is going to be based around part 3 or part C in regard to the severity of the disease that is now spreading in leaps and bounds. I just wanted to throw this in towards the last because it's fixing to get cranked up pertaining to Donald Trump and his unethical behavior. It's not just immoral behavior, but it's unethical behavior to try to blackmail a person like the Ukrainian government just to be able to bring up some sort of trash on your opponent. In other words, it wasn't handled in the proper form that most things like that are handled in, and because of it, I think that's one reason why that people are calling him on the red carpet about, is because he should have had people hired to have done that type of dirty work for him rather than he himself engage in making a telephone call and saying, oh yeah, but I got something I want you to do for me. In other words, we'll give you what we're supposed to give you, even though I'm not legally liable to confine what we're already agreed to give you, which is $390,000, $390 million of aid, military aid, providing that you do something for me. In other words, it wasn't so much what he done, but how he went about doing it. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? It wasn't so much what he done, but how he went about doing it. That's made it very, very complicated and unethical for a president to do something like this. The disease is the top priority topic towards what can we do to suppress or eradicate this from growing and intensifying.